Who's that?
That's Harry Potter.
What is he doing?
She's finding a light.
Neo is a talented boy full of life with an active imagination and a passion for drawing.
That's Hermione's brother.
What does he do?
From the Goblets of Fire.
He's happy right now, but it hasn't always been that way.
That's a really good picture.
He's going to get a job as an illustrator. He went to reception at a local primary school, and I think the problems for us really started in year one. He became aware himself that he was kind of different to the other children. And one of the biggest kind of stumbling blocks for him is his communication. If you can't talk to someone and they can't understand you, that breeds a huge amount of anxiety.
Neo has autism and found being in class really difficult. Despite the school doing everything they could, the situation was so bad the school run became a traumatic event and his parents stopped putting him through it. He's been at home for 2 years.
Who's this?
King Charles.
Yep.
Queen Camilla.
I mean, I personally have spent probably hundreds of hours on this process, fighting at every corner. My wife has had to give up work to look after my son. So yeah, it's been incredibly challenging.
For children like Neo to get all the help they need, you have to have an educational health plan approved by the local authority. That sets out what education is most suited to your need and the support you require. But it's taking longer and longer to get one. In Neo's case, the delay could mean him missing out on the place at the specialist school his parents believe he will thrive in.
The thing that makes us most sad is that Neo doesn't really have any friends at the moment. Sorry, I'm going to start crying.
We've been inundated by messages from parents who are in a similar situation to Neo's. They say they've been waiting 6 months, 12 months, 2 years for an educational plan that fits their children's needs. And some parents say they're at breaking point. The impact of all this is huge, especially on kids. And it's schools that have to adapt.
So it's brand new. Opened in September.
This mainstream school has built a special classroom specifically for these children.
The challenge is not the children, because they're beautiful. It's financially forecasting the best way to give those children what they need. Our Bumblebees provision alone costs almost 200,000 to run. That's a big chunk of funding, and it's never enough.
Bumblebees has 27 students split between 2 classes.
Big voices. What?
The majority here is autism. We have learning needs, learning delays, lots of difficulties with speech and language. We've got hearing impairment, a whole range.
The budget for Bumblebees is a delicate balancing act, one that has to be weighed up against the rest of the school. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it keeps me awake at night sometimes.
These pressures are echoed up and down the country.
We are at crisis point. Education is on the verge of grinding to a halt. I have spent most of my career educating children with special educational needs. It creates a real strain on your mental health as a professional, knowing that you want to do more, but effectively operating with hands tied behind your back.
The government are ultimately responsible for funding children with special education needs. The problems parents face were put to the Prime Minister today.
Well, Mr. Speaker, of course we want to see every child thrive at school, which is why we've tripled the amount going into special educational needs for capital places and put more money in to support EHCP plans. I'm sorry.
The government hands responsibility for this over to councils who have a legal duty to provide. They have 20 weeks to issue an educational plan, but that timeline is slipping. Almost half of children are waiting beyond this time.
Having these statutory limits broken time and time again is so frustrating for the parents. It's illegal. That's just not acceptable, is it?
It's not acceptable, but because of the number we're having to deal with and not having always the resources to be able to pay for that, that's why it happens. So I understand the frustration completely, and I'm sorry for that frustration. It is not deliberate. It's bigger than just give me more money. It's a society issue that we need to sit down both as politicians, as residents, as parents as well, and have that conversation.
Most people know someone going through this. There's a multitude of reasons why, from the impact of COVID to parents having better awareness. And this programme will be picking apart this complex picture. But for Neo, he's finally found a place where he can be happy.
Amazingly, I think we've managed to secure a place in a special educational needs provision. Had his first day yesterday and he absolutely loved it, and it was just so emotional. I think we feel really privileged, actually, and I think just, talking to him and seeing how happy he was just the most amazing experience. When you saw Kat and Dawn today, how did it make you feel?
Happy.
That's amazing.